What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Monday, everybody. Okay, second video of the day. Today, I had a wonderful interview with Sander Jones from the Dreamland Motel, and the interview is just up. You guys can check it out, but I have to do a video about a fresh interview from Dr. Eric Davis. If you guys have been following the channel, I've been covering some of the stuff that Dr. Davis has said about, for example, Dr. Richard Banderich, about the hearings allegedly getting postponed. After that, it was confirmed that they weren't postponed and the hearings did happen. So, Dr. Davis did a recent interview on the Generation Z channel, and he has done one with Dave once before, and he hadn't done another one. This was I think, the second time they speak. And Dr. Davis really let it out. Like, he spoke about many different topics. So the person that we're going to shout out here is because he clearly has a direct line to Dr. Davis. And he actually was really angry at me when I just asked questions about Dr. Davis not being completely truthful. And I have no idea if it was intentional or not, but this really angered Joe Murgia. And I tried to diffuse the situation. He said that I had a really shitty take about Dr. Davis, but I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that Dr. Davis may not be completely honest with the way that he says things and what he says right now. And I know this from various people who have been close to Dr. Davis. He's one of the smartest people in the UFO community, and he has been very adamant in the way he thinks about, for example, Bob Lazar, Dan Burrish, Dr. Banderich, and others. And he's very matter-of-factly saying that they're full of crap. And he's very vocal about it, and this rubs people the wrong way. He did something similar today when he was speaking about Bob Lazar, but then he included George Knapp in the conversation. And I don't know if he can be talking in the name of George Knapp the way he did. So I don't know what the reaction from Knapp would be when he listens to what Davis said here. But I do got to give you a little bit of background, because when Dr. Davis said that the hearings were postponed or canceled, he had a source that he thought was like completely trustworthy. And this source is the one that apparently gave him wrong information. So I don't know if Dr. Davis already sorted that out, but that happened. So now, and it's only natural that people, whenever they listen to Dr. Davis speak, some people won't believe him anymore because of what happened and because of these so matter-of-factly statements about these people involved in ufology, especially after today and what he said about George Knapp. But let's go clip by clip on Joe Murgia's X account, because he clipped a bunch of different things, and I think they're worth looking at. So this is the first one that Davis said it's going to probably be a little too much for the American public to be able to digest when they see what's in those videos. This isn't just a matter of a triangle going into the ocean and flying back out of the ocean again. It's much more than that. So here's the video. Shout out to Joe Murgia as well.
Right. So you're gonna get these voices that are going to be brought together under the direction of a PED that's going to tell the president, under no circumstance can you do this. So I think this is going on with President Trump not going forward to fulfill his campaign promise to declassify more of the military sensor platforms and military weapon and military other platforms, or I should say other military platforms that have clear and unambiguous high caliber, high precision detections of UAPs, is because it's gonna reveal too much about the existence of the platforms, number one, the sensing systems, number two, and it's going to probably be a little too much for the American public to want to digest or be able to digest when they see what's on those videos. This isn't just a matter of a triangle going into the ocean and flying back out of the ocean again. It's more than that. Wow. Much more than that. Yeah.
So very much in line with what Jim Semivan says, right? That the people are not ready. I don't know whatever he means by that, but that was an interesting clip right there. Let's go to the next one. This is the one that I was telling you about, where he mentions Bob Lazar and he mentions George Knapp as if he knew what George Knapp is thinking or knows. And I know because Dan Cleary is my friend, and Dan Cleary speaks to Jeremy and George, that they don't agree with Dr. Davis on Bob Lazar. So there is clearly a difference of opinion here that I think it would be wise to explore. Maybe ask Knapp a little bit about what Dr. Davis says when it comes to Bob Lazar. So here is Dr. Eric Davis doubling down on his thoughts on Bob Lazar.
What is the likelihood that instead of seeing a UFO near Groom Lake, as Bob Lazar and John Lear claimed, what is the likelihood they instead saw some type of directed energy proton or laser beam back in the 1980s rather than a UFO?
Zero, because there were no technology of that nature back then, especially at Area 51. Protons were not used, and lasers were, but laser work was done in another part of the country at another laboratory. And
Gotcha.
Area 51 doesn't have a laboratory to begin with. It's not a laboratory. So the answer is zero. And Bob Lazar and John Lear, I wouldn't put any stock in anything they say because they're a couple of nut cases. And we already know that George Knapp investigated Bob Lazar, and as much as he's been promoting him over the years, George knows on a private basis that Bob Lazar is a problem.
That's one hell of a statement to make about George, and to presume that he thinks that and saying it out loud like that is not a good look. And I know that Joe Murgia is going to probably be mad at me because of this, but man, Dr. Davis keeps saying stuff like this, and it's just like divisive type of rhetoric. It's really strange. I don't know why he does this. There's another name that he's going to drop here who is known to be misleading as well. And you'll see who I mean, but I wonder what George has to say about this. And also denying again that reverse engineering was achieved back in the 80s. There are accounts that it was achieved way before, but we don't really know for sure. But yet Dr. Davis seems to know for sure because he speaks so matter of factly, as he always does. So let me know what you think about this one, but let's continue.
And I've investigated him with a former Area 51 program manager who's a member of the Roadrunners Retiree Association. He knew Bob Lazar's female supervisor, and
Gotcha.
he got the poop on Bob Lazar's employment, which did not take place in Area 51. It took place in an unclassified logistical support facility way outside of Area 51. He never had to take a Janet flight out there. He stayed in Vegas. He worked from Vegas.
Gotcha.
And then he ran an illegal prostitution operation at the same time.
Yeah,
Wow. Repeating that.
there's some, I know that people that have promoted Lazar don't like bringing that aspect of his life up, but I think it's
But
fair to bring
but that's how you do. Yeah, that's how you do forensic profiling. We're not saying he's a criminal. It's just a profiling of somebody who's made outrageous claims, which everybody at Area 51 are looking at each other like, what the fuck? And so, and then you got George Knapp, who's promoting him a lot. He has said, so what the fuck? But he just kind of says, well, you got the story. But I think George is missing a beat somewhere, and I'm not sure why. He knows all the people I worked with who investigated Bob Lazar, and that includes Colonel John Alexander, or Dr. John Alexander, Colonel, U.S. Army, retired.
That's the name I told you about. Divisive figure in ufology. Many think he's a quote unquote spook. Many do trust him. I don't know what to think of Dr. Alexander. I've never met him in person. But yeah, clearly Dr. Davis completely trusts Dr. John Alexander. And I've gotten mixed kind of reactions about him within the UFO community. So make of that what you will.
Who was responsible for Bob Bigelow hiring me at NIBS in July of '96.
Gotcha.
And so John Alexander was right out of Los Alamos at the time. He was the father of the non-lethal weapons laboratory at Los Alamos, and he did that after 32, maybe more than 32 years in the Army.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So John Alexander spent quite a bit of time in the Army, that's for sure.
Yeah, and when you're the chief of staff to the commanding general of the Army Intelligence and Security Command, you can pull a lot of resources in the government to look into guys like Lazar, and he did.
Got you.
He did when he looked into Phil Corso. So
Interesting, right? I don't know what you guys think about him just saying that George Knapp knows that Bob Lazar is a problem. That's an interesting quote right there. But let's continue just a little more. There's a couple more. Okay, so this one is about crash retrievals and how he verified that a crash retrieval program actually exists.
I verified it through my work since NIDS. And I didn't do it the way John Alexander did it. John Alexander kind of broke the rules. The way he did it, it's like the way he took the approach he took to talk to high-level people to get information on whether there was a crash retrieval of a crash on the Foster Ranch in Corona, New Mexico. He would knock on the door. Remember, his with the security clearances and need to know, he didn't have the security clearance and need to know for the crash retrieval program. So they said, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of that before. Okay. Then when he retired and he's at Los Alamos with his Q clearance, he's getting the same responses. However, I went to the heart of the program and found the right people. And that's a long story I cannot get into, but I found the people. I found a U.S. president. I found an admiral. I found a general. I found program managers at companies who confirmed all of it. And they said, oh, yeah, Phil Corso, of course, he's right. And Dave Grush did too.
This is really wild to hear him say that he found within the program somebody, the people who are involved are a U.S. president, an admiral, a colonel, general. That's wild. Who could that president be? Leave a suggestion in the comments. But yeah, he did say that. And the last part, which is, in my opinion, the spicier one, because he goes directly after Glenn Gaffney, who was mentioned at the previous hearing by George Knapp when he was giving names out. Glenn Gaffney was one of the people that he mentioned. And Mr. Gaffney allegedly was the one who stopped material transfer from Lockheed Martin to Bigelow Aerospace. And this was allegedly a UFO, allegedly. And now Dr. Davis is talking about Glenn Gaffney and what he would do. How would he make him testify or talk about these programs? So here's Dr. Davis talking about Glenn Gaffney.
Dr. Davis, in your opinion, given the options that I'm about to list, who should the House Oversight Subcommittee subpoena? And the options are Admiral Wilson, Admiral Bobby Ray Inman, the Lockheed Martin CEO, Glenn Gaffney. Those are the options. If you could.
The admirals are a waste of time. Glenn Gaffney, I'd kick his ass and all the way to Washington, D.C., to the House Oversight Committee hearing room in the Rayburn House office building. He would be the guy that under oath would have. Well, here's the thing. He's going to say this is at a level of classification that I can't testify to in an open hearing. I can do it in a classified setting, like in a SCIF in the O'Neill House office building. The problem is it'll be waived and acknowledged special access program. His clearances will have to be reactivated for him to testify at that level, and he'll have to be given the need to know, and all that is done through what's called the DD 254 form that gives him authorization to get clearance and need to know, and that'll be, let's put it this way, the executive branch does not have to cooperate with the legislative branch on these matters. That's the problem. The legislative branch, I know they have an oversight role, but the issue is they're battling an executive branch issues and agencies for which they can only control the power of the purse. And just to get Gaffney in there, Gaffney will be able to waffle and avoid and divert, because he is trained to do that, especially for waived unacknowledged special access programs.
Got you. Got you.
He will frickin' waffle. But he would be my first target. I wouldn't waste my time with admirals and generals. I'd go for him. But it's just that he will be bound. Okay, he's also bound by the presidential emergency action directives. So the presidential emergency action directives will probably clam him up, as well as the fact that the president of the United States also has presidential executive privilege that he could exert on Gaffney, since Gaffney was employed by the CIA. I think he's retired now, but when he was employed, that's in the executive branch. So the president can exert executive privilege, which means anything that Gaffney was doing is covered under executive privilege. But more importantly, it could be covered under the presidential emergency action directives, of which are never released to Congress under any circumstance. Never.
So do you, if I may ask, do you think realistically, do you think that it would be a waste of time for Gaffney to be brought in?
Yeah, it would be, but he would be a target of a subpoena, in my opinion, if I had all the power in the world. I basically would do a Jesus to him. I put him on a cross naked and hammer big nails in his wrist and ankles and then see how much he's willing to talk.
Got you. Okay.
Or maybe give him sodium pentothal shots and see how much he's really going to talk. So yeah, he's a good doobie. He is well trained like I am.
Right.
He's been trained on not violating security and not being an insider threat to the national security, and he just is going to follow the law and follow the rules. And he's just going to say, the president will be told by the national security advisor, who in this era would be the acting national security advisor, Marco Rubio, former U.S. senator from Florida.
Right.
So it'd be Rubio and Trump that'll have to decide if they're going to waive executive privilege and waive the PEDs. And maybe even Trump won't even have power to waive the PED, for all I know. The PED being the presidential emergency action directives.
Right.
So I just don't know what mechanisms are there for exceptions to the PEDs, because so far we've never seen a PED published, revealed, leaked, acknowledged, or shared with Congress. It is classified, and it's never shared with Congress.
Well,
so that was a really good insight into the knowledge that Dr. Davis has, and who would he go after? Glenn Gaffney. You heard him. We've been talking about generals, admirals all this time, and even Davis himself, who was part of the Wilson Davis memo, would go directly after Gaffney. What do you guys think about that? And what do you guys think about Dr. Davis doubling down again on Bob Lazar, and now including George Knapp, basically saying that George Knapp knows better than to support Lazar? That's a hard pill to swallow for many, I'm sure. But I want to hear what you guys got to say about Dr. Davis, about his latest interview. I'm going to leave a link in the description for the entire thing on the Generation Z channel. Great interview. Congrats to Mr. Dave Z. And yeah, just let me know. Every time Dr. Davis speaks, it's interesting, important, and newsworthy. So that's why we're doing a report today. And again, shout out to Joe Murgia. I'm going to leave a link in the description for his entire X account, because he constantly posts about UFOs, and he's one of the most active members there. And he posts a lot of great stuff, especially if you like reading. So let me know in the comments. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That's all you need to do in order to help us. And it is what helps us the most. So thank you. But if you want to support us in other ways, there's a few links down there you can choose from. You can become a member on YouTube, or you can support us through KGRA. The recent interview I did with Josh McDowell is now on KGRA on every platform. Just look for Psicoactivo podcast on any platform and you'll find it. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive like Dr. Eric Davis. Always. Bye.